Cubing here, and I'm going to leave our house to go to Pdx Cubing 2020. So we stopped at Taco Bell to eat some food. Okay. So our sleep counter over there. So we got some burritos. There. Burrito. You like it, Daddy?
Delicious.
So now we're done eating and we're gonna go to our hotel now. See you sometime else. So we just arrived at our hotel and here's our room. Here it is. Some nice beds. And here's our stuff. We're gonna stay here for the night. Sleep, so we're gonna practice tonight, and then we're gonna go to the competition bright and early tomorrow morning. So I was practicing, and I got a whole bunch of 12s and 13s and 14s. I also got a blind solve in 9 minutes, so that'll be good for tomorrow. Hopefully I can get a blind solve. And my dad was practicing too, and we got some 3-minute solves. So I think I'm excited for tomorrow. We're about to go to bed in our beds over there. See you all tomorrow. So we just packed out. We're leaving our hotel, and we're gonna go get some food. So we have some juice. Some juice over here. We got some orange juice and a blueberry melon. Got my food, and now we're heading on the way out. Okay, so car's over here. We're gonna drive to the competition. Let's go. So guys, we're almost there. We're just waiting for the light, and we got about 1 mile left. Go. We're almost there. Here. Right in there. So guys, I'm practicing 3x3. I'm hoping for a sub 15 average. So So for the longest time, I've been really hoping for a sub 15 average. And it started out pretty bad with a 16. And then I got a 12.
Nice.
The next solve was just terrible. I got a 17 and I knew I could probably not get it, but I did have a counting 12. So the next solve, it was a 15. And at that point, I calculated it, and if I got or better than my 12.4, I would get it. Yes! 4x4 time. So for 4x4, I was just hoping for like a sub 120 average and sub 110 single. Sounds pretty easy. So the first solve was 118, then 121, and then something pretty funny happens. I said I'm gonna get a sub 1, and right after I start the solve, pop, a piece pops out. So I continue the solve, and I still get on top of the piece popping out a 115 and some like parity or something. The next solve was terrible. It was barely sub 2, but whatever, I got counted out. And the last solve was pretty good. I sort of wish it had been sub 1, but whatever. I did get a plus 2, but I still got pretty good. The next thing I did was blindfolded. So memorization went really well. There was only a couple new cycles, and there was only like a twisted edge or a twisted corner. It just went really smoothly. And I ended up getting a 7-minute solve, which was really good because when I practiced, I did one solve the day before, it was 9. And I actually got a success, which I did not expect it, and I got 10th in the competition. Also worth mentioning, I did get a 12-minute solve, but there were 2 twisted corners. You can look it up if you want to. One-handed was an event I didn't really care about, but I did get pretty good. The first solve was a 32, then a 31, and then after that I got a 36, which was not the worst. And then the next solve was another 36. So I have a pretty good average. So I'm like, I need a sub 30. So I go for the sub 30, and I would have, but I messed up the G perm, and it ended up being a 51 flat. Yay! So my goal for 2x2 was a sub 5 average. I just needed some low 4s and maybe some counting 5s. So the first solve was a 4, pretty solid. And the next solve, I went up there and solved it, and I got another 4, so that was pretty good. And the third solve was it was also a 4. So I felt pretty solid. And the next solve, I went up there and I knew the one looked less layer, but I just screwed it up. But I still got a 3. And then this last solve, if I could get better than that, I'll get a low 4 average. And I did the solution, or I inspected, and then I did the solution, and I got a PLL skip, got a counting 3, and a low 4 average. So Skewb went relatively well. The first solve was a 10, and I was hoping for a sub 10, so that wasn't that bad because I had 4 more chances. The next solve, I actually did end up doing it. I got a really low sub 10, a 6, which I was really happy with. The next solve was an 8, and I find that all of these solves really good. But the next solve is what I'm really excited for. It was a 4, a sub 5, which was 3,800th in the world. And the last solve was just bad overall. I got a Z perm, but it did end up getting cut off. But I'm really happy with that sub 5, 4.42. So 3x3 round 2 went a lot better than the first round. But the first solve was a really nice and solid sub 12. But unfortunately it was plus 2'd barely. So the next solve was actually my worst solve of the whole average, but yet it was like still really good. It was a decent 13 second solve. And that was just really good for me. So I knew this was going to be a pretty good average. And the next solve was 11. So I knew that as long as I didn't mess up the last 2 solves, this average had a lot of potential, and it was my PB. The fourth solve was 12, so I knew this was like a sub 14, so I'd beat my current best average, and I knew this last solve, if I got good, I could get a really good average, maybe even sub 13. So I did it, and I got a low 12, which means I got a sub 13 average, and I would have made finals if it weren't for the plus 2. So for 2x2 finals, I was just glad I made it there, and I already had a great average. The first solve was a 5, and the next solve was a 5. And then the next solve I thought it was just the J perm, but I messed it up and I got a 7. So, but that was counted out. The next solve, I would have got a sub 5, but as you can see, it would have been a plus 2. But I dropped it and redid it. The last solve was a 4, and I'm just glad I made it there. It wasn't a great average, but whatever.
She wants to talk about this with him, but she.
I thought you guys already had a girls' weekend scheduled.
Bring that up.
Huh? hand blocking for it.
And in first place, with an average of 13.80 seconds, Samir Agarwal. Congratulations. Next, the best result of 30.05 seconds is Jason White. Place, with an average of 35.93 seconds, Asher Kim McGarrick. And in first place, an average of 2.66 seconds, Samir Agarwal. Main event 3x3. Third place, with the first sub-10 average of 9.57 seconds, Milo Black. In second place, with an average of 9.11 seconds, Asher Kim McGarrick. And in third place, with an average of 7.81 seconds, and the winner of Pdx Cubing for Causes 2020 is Samir Agarwal. All right, thanks to everyone for coming out and for raising so much money for our charities. After some minor expenses we have with the competition, we'll be able to donate with Daimler's matching over $3,000 to charity. So good stuff. So thank you so much to them for helping us out. And thanks for coming out and making this a really great event today. We'll have the Portland event announced soon. In the meanwhile, though, we do have two Corvallis events coming up. Oregon State Leap Day on Leap Day, and Oregon State Favorites on the 25th of April, among other events like...
Sorry I didn't vlog much, but I did have a great competition. I got sub 15 average on 3x3, which was really nice, and an 11-second single. I'm actually in a gas station right now after the competition. Anyways, for 2x2, I made it to finals by getting a 2.23 average. For Skewb, I got a 4.42 and an 8 average. For 4x4, I got a 103 plus 2, which is still pretty good, and a 118 average. For 3x3, round 2, no, for 3x3 OH, I got a 31, which is pretty good, not quite sub 30, and like a 35 average, which is about what I wanted, maybe a little better. Anyways, for 4x4, or I already did 4x4. For 3x3 finals, or 3x3 second round, I got an 11 plus 2, and then the rest of the solves. If I hadn't have got that plus 2, I would have made it to finals and beat Kit. Oh, and also for blindfolded, I got a 721, and then a success, and then a 12 something DNF. And there were 2 twisted corners, which was super close. So overall, I had a great competition, and I hope to go to more. And I ranked 10th in blindfolded, 12th in 2x2, first round and finals, and 3x3 A ranked. I would have ranked 12 if it weren't for that plus 2, but I ranked 16th otherwise.